Now, companies now have a guide on how to share data in a responsible way so that they can build partnerships with other organizations in the digital economy, while at the same time giving consumers more confidence in sharing their personal information. Cheryl will go on how it all works.
With the Singapore Trusted Data Sharing Framework in place, businesses here will have more guidance on how to share information in a way that benefits them and yet not flout the law. Rolled out by the Infocom Media Development Authority and Personal Data Protection Commission, the scheme is Asia's first such comprehensive guide on data flows. The structure spells out clear steps for a retailer and an e-payments service provider, for instance, to work together and create more customized shopping experiences and deals. It was initially unclear how much customer particulars they should share between themselves.
Data sharing is necessary and is already taking place. The framework will help establish practice norms, enabling better and trusted data flows for the digital economy. It helps organizations incorporate accountability and transparency into the very beginning of their data sharing arrangement.
And while the framework is meant to help share data and establish trust between business partners, consumers will also stand to benefit from an enhanced and more personal service experience. As consumers, it's quite natural that we'd only be willing to share our data with companies if we are confident they will use our personal information in the right way. And what the framework aims to do is provide greater clarity to businesses on any regulatory requirements, so consumers will have that peace of mind to share their data more willingly. The scheme also aims to shed light on how emerging technologies like artificial intelligence can be used appropriately in the larger tech ecosystem.
If this results in increasing public trust in the private sector and its ability to collect and use data responsibly, it benefits all of us, because we will then be able to accelerate our development towards the kind of trusted AI data solutions that we all want.
The framework is available for download at IMDA's website.
And for more, we're joined by Dr. Janil Puthucheary. He's Senior Minister of State for Communications and Information. Dr. Janil, thanks very much for joining us this evening. So key considerations in 4 main areas as we understand it. So we've got data sharing strategy, legal and technical considerations, as well as how to operationalize this data sharing. How will this essentially guide businesses in the way they share data?
Well, I think we should recognize this is a significant shift in the mindset of our data security approach. In the past, we'd merely given guidance and actually laws and regulations how to protect data, how to secure your data, and telling companies, well, if you share, it's your risk, you know, and don't cross these lines. But we're increasingly recognizing that companies need to share data. We want them to share data responsibly, and if we can help them do that, that increases the kind of innovative services that they can develop. And so this is a series of guidelines. How do companies then develop the right kind of language to talk about sharing data? What are the sort of relationships they need to develop so that they can build trust in each other? They have to trust each other, and then get trust in their mutual customers. And then have us as the regulator also trust that they're going to be responsible about this. So it's setting standards, giving guidelines, and developing a common language for the companies to work together.
So, Dr. Janil, the idea is to use data in order to bring more innovative products and services to the market. Do you anticipate any barriers as to how the framework is going to address, this scenario?
Well, the thing is that we need to persuade people that this is a trusted environment. But it's not enough to say that it's a trusted environment. It needs to actually be trusted. It has to deliver on the kind of security, the protection, the privacy, and the outcomes that people are looking for. Every time you log on to a service, actually you're starting to share data already. The service knows that you've logged on. And the more you interact with it, you've started to share data already. Now, if we want trusted AI services, if we want good digital services and products, we have to give people the confidence that they can share data with companies, with government, with each other. So the biggest barrier is when things go wrong and people get fearful of this, and we have to then find ways to then restore trust and deal with those anxieties.
So on a broader scale, where do you think Singapore ranks in terms of trust among businesses, between customers and businesses, with the government as well? It seems, like you mentioned earlier, a bit counterintuitive.
Well, actually, the evidence is there that we are quite trusted. If you look at the companies coming from outside, the investments that's coming into Singapore, for example, possibly digital banks we've just heard about, right? Financial institutions, but also fintech players, the data centers that are being located here. It's clear that the market sees us as a trusted digital environment. And when we measure this with people, yes, there are concerns, but in general, people are happy and willing to engage with government to use these services. And I'll give you one example, which is parking.sg, which you may well be in the 60% of drivers that use parking.sg. It's a Smart Nation GovTech product. It's about the sharing of data, and people are happy to use it. So I think in general, we're not doing too badly, but we can't sort of rest on our laurels, pat ourselves on the back and say, job done. There's a lot of work to be done.
We're well into this idea of the Smart Nation with the national efforts to sort of push this initiative since 2014. How would you evaluate our progress so far?
Well, I've said before, I don't think we're ever going to have arrived. Because the reality is every year, new technology comes online, new opportunities are created, expectations change. So this is continually chasing a moving target. We haven't done too badly. We've said we're going to transform Singapore through technology. We've launched blueprints for the economy, for digital government, for digital readiness, digital society. We've got quite a lot of work going in those areas, how to train people, how to develop public sector capability, and how to be inclusive by design. But actually much more important is what actually happens. What are the products that we can deliver? I'll give you one example. You're familiar with SingPass perhaps in the past, where you might get an SMS that pings you, the two-factor authentication. 7 months ago, we launched SingPass Mobile, entirely in your mobile phone, secure, no publicity, no big rah-rah, no big fanfare, and there's 200,000 Singaporeans that have downloaded and begun to use that by themselves because they see value and they have access to services that they want to use. So I don't think we're doing too badly. But as I say, let's keep our eye on the ball.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming into the studios to share your perspectives with us on this, Dr. Janil. We've been speaking there to Dr. Janil Puthucheary, Senior Minister of State for Communications and Information.